He's had quite the resume for a man who's under 30 years old, Scott.
Unbelievable. He's packed over 12 years of experience. He's wrestled on 3 continents. He's competed with some of the biggest superstars in the world, but I don't know if he should be trying to do a pose down with Petey Williams.
I'm pretty sure he's already lost. You know, I think this is just icing on the cake. I'm pretty sure that Jimmy Jacobs lost the pose down before Petey Williams even posed. Now the collar and elbow tap. And yes, of course, the strength advantage goes to Maple Leaf Muscle.
Yeah, I think that Jacobs is 0 for 2. He lost the pose down, and he certainly lost that collar elbow tie.
Wait a second. Jimmy Jacobs is going for, he wants a test of strength? Really?
I can't imagine what's rolling around in that head of his here. Why he would lock up with a much stronger opponent and almost immediately here being forced down to his knees by Petey Williams.
And it must be noted that Jimmy Jacobs is actually taller than Petey Williams, so this is even more impressive. But hold on a second, he gets back to his feet. Let's give credit where credit is due. Both men off the ropes. And they're both thinking the same thing, aren't they? Oh, hang on a second. Tit for tat, anything you can do, I can do better. Hold on.
Oh, they got each other's legs. And what's it? I think Petey Williams saying, okay, put the foot down. I'll do it if you do it. We'll see Jimmy Jacobs. They're counting 2, 3, and the foot goes down. Jimmy Jacobs obeying the rules. That's not going to last long.
I'm surprised we saw that.
That's the end of it.
I spoke too soon.
So let's get the formalities out of the way. This one's well into the action. And Arda, what a great, amazing card we have here tonight.
We have Kevin Nash and Cody Deaner, undefeated as I understand. They are in tag team action. We will see in the main event, Scott, 2 of your star pupils for the BCW Championship confined in a 15-foot-high steel cage.
Yeah, it's going to be only the 2nd cage match in BCW history, the first for the BCW title as well, with myself versus a man of mayhem, Bruiser Bedlam. And I'll tell you what, Arda, I never, ever felt the same after that match, and I don't know if these guys will ever be the same after tonight's.
They won't be the same. They won't look the same. I expect total brutality in that match. And there's a kick to the face by Petey Williams. Hold on a second. Head scissors. There it is. And Jimmy Jacobs to the canvas. But again, right into that second rope. And Petey Williams asserting his speed. And there's a drop kick to the back.
Well, Petey Williams certainly having his good share of control here in the early parts of this matchup. Jimmy Jacobs has been on the receiving end already of a lot of abuse.
We talked about Jimmy Jacobs' resume, having been an alum of ROH, still doing great things in the independents, but what about Petey Williams?
Oh, Petey Williams here, Tree of Woe, into the aptly named Oh Canada.
The True North strong and free, but Jimmy Jacobs is south of the equator, not feeling so good right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, Petey Williams, a well-traveled and accomplished professional, 2-time X Division champion in TNA. He's a former BCW television champion. He's a former BCW tag team champion, and he's as tough as it gets inside that ring.
Is Jimmy Jacobs calling it quits? Has he had enough? Oh, hold on a second. Petey Williams in hot pursuit.
I think he's luring Petey into pursuit. Williams slides in, and a little too smart for Jacobs.
I tell you what, it's very rare when one competitor has the strength and speed on his side. Oh. But hold on a second. That mental game coming back, giving Jimmy Jacobs the advantage.
Petey Williams thought he was 1 step ahead of Jacobs, but he was still a step behind as Jacobs hooks the leg. 1, 2, and gets almost a 3 count here pretty early on, Arda. That just goes to show you, go for a pinfall because you never know how stunned your opponent is.
Petey Williams certainly is stunned right now after that brutal DDT. And how about this? Just stomping on the breadbasket of Petey Williams. And then a big elbow as icing on the cake. He, with a very nonchalant cover there, and Williams able to kick out.
Jimmy Jacobs, a little bit different, for all the credit I'll give him about how he gets into his opponent's psyche, sometimes he psychs himself out.
Jimmy Jacobs puts Petey Williams into the corner. Shoulder tackles right into the stomach. Petey Williams blocks the punch, comes back with 3 of his own. And look at that maneuver there. He even shielded himself from the referee.
Jimmy Jacobs, that's veteran experience there, gets himself in between the referee and the illegal maneuver, ensuring that the referee can't disqualify him.
We were talking about mind games and that veteran savvy of Jimmy Jacobs, and that's exactly what it is. And right here, cutting the blood from the head of Petey Williams.
Jimmy Jacobs there trying to squeeze the carotid arteries there, trying to cut off the windpipes, but he doesn't quite have it sunk in enough. Hence why you're able to see Petey Williams get up to his feet and starting to fire off with some elbows.
Off the ropes goes Jimmy Jacobs. Wisely stops, and Petey Williams over the top rope, and Jimmy Jacobs through the ropes and right on to Petey Williams. Looked like he was in a mosh pit at a concert.
What an unbelievable suicide dive there. Let's see if we can roll that back in the truck. Let's get a look at this. Here's the replay. Petey back on his feet. Jacobs diving out, throwing the full weight of his body at Williams and knocking him down. If Jacobs can get his senses together and get Williams into the ring, he might be able to get the pinfall here.
Jacobs throwing Williams back into the ring, exactly like you said. He's going to hook the leg. This could be it. No, not yet.
Jimmy Jacobs, it took him a little bit too long to get his own bearings and get Williams into the ring for the 3 count. But now he's got a rear naked choke or modified sleeper here. Not only is he cutting off the wind, but he's also on top of Williams, putting his body weight on top of Williams and trying to compress the lungs.
Double impact here on the lungs and those carotid arteries, as you mentioned before, but Petey Williams powering his way to his feet. There's some elbows to the stomach. Jimmy Jacobs being pushed back. Now Petey Williams whip into the buckle, but Jimmy Jacobs waiting for him. And now to the second ropes. He might be going for a tornado DDT. No, instead a snap suplex. Patented Jimmy Jacobs. He'll hook both legs. That won't be enough.
Jimmy Jacobs there just a hair away from getting the 3 count. Going for that, like you said, lots of people do the tornado DDT. Jimmy Jacobs putting his own twist on it, does that tornado into the snap suplex, getting the added torque and the added impact of the maneuver, and then right back here, cutting off the windpipe of Williams, trying to choke him out on the mat.
Very wise to continue to go back to the air supply of Petey Williams and the blood flow to the head, and Petey Williams just desperately trying to get Jimmy Jacobs off of him. Trying whipping him to the ropes. Hang on a second. Oh! Crashing to the canvas, and Petey Williams suddenly a breath of life, both men down.
Well, Petey Williams able to get a nice spinning neck breaker there, and he's starting to shake his hands free. You see, trying to get that feeling in his hands. His lungs are starting to fill with air again. You see as he starts to make himself up, makes his way onto his feet, and he's starting to get some strength back.
Petey Williams back on the offensive, right hand connecting to Jimmy Jacobs' jaw. Yeah, he felt that one. Reversal there, hold on a second, telegraphs the back body drop, and a clothesline, and to the canvas goes Jimmy Jacobs, and a back elbow, back to the canvas goes Jimmy Jacobs again. Tilt-a-whirl, hold on a second, into a side Russian leg sweep.
Crucifix pin here, count of 1, count of 2. Oh, just a hair of a second away on that. Now hooks Jimmy Jacobs and snaps him face first into the canvas.
Hooks the leg again, yes he will, the cover, the count, the no, not yet. And Jimmy Jacobs lives on.
Well, Petey Williams has thrown everything at him except for one thing, and that's the most devastating move in professional wrestling, the Canadian Destroyer. If Williams can set it up and hit that, he's calling for it now. That'll be lights out, 1, 2, 3.
Jimmy Jacobs needs to get desperate here if he wants to avoid the Canadian Destroyer, and that's exactly what he does right there. Smartly done by Jimmy Jacobs.
Petey Williams turns around. Oh, and my God, a flying cutter there by Jacobs. Hooks the leg.
No.
Count of 2 there by Jacobs, turning it around. He was a split second away from being Canadian Destroyer, and now he's back firmly in control.
Jimmy Jacobs may be wise to go back to those chokes. And hold on a second, might be going for a sliced bread here. No, hang on.
And the kick, Petey Williams loading him in for the Canadian Destroyer. Flip pile driver. That's gotta be it, Arda. He hooks the leg. It's academic, I think, at this point. 3.
Here is your winner, Maple Leaf Muscle, Petey Williams!
The Canadian Destroyer does it for the hometown hero, Petey Williams, victorious.